Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I dropped something. Why am I saying sorry? Didn't hurt anything. Okay, so I'm gonna let you look at my signs first before I get started. So I pulled some cards today, and I pulled one from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck with the nice glare on it. Whoa! And the slippery case, box, whatever. What's that? Sorry. Man. I really don't like that sorry thing. It just comes out. So, yeah. The card I pulled from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck is the number 24 card. And it is Galactic Mushroom. And the subtitle is Divine Matrix. So, I also pulled two other cards. They're from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, which is this one. And as you can see, I pulled oyster and starfish. And the only thing I got from these was when I first pulled them was, oh, so you got seafood. I mean, I've eaten oysters for sure, but I have never eaten a starfish. I don't even know if people eat those. Ow! So I thought about that, or I didn't think about it. I just kind of put it down and went about my business. So I'm running really late today. I didn't get started, I think it's like 4 right now, a.m. And I was busy writing, so that took a while because I don't have my laptop working right now, and gee, my collar looks terrific. And I have to do everything on my phone, and I would like to borrow a line from Obliterated, which is a Netflix original series. I should probably do a thing on it, but I'm not going to do that right now because I didn't get ready for it. So you're spared a combo reading. But I will say that in that show, they had a tech chick, was her name for a long time. And the tech chick, at one point, in the middle of all kinds of action, was like frustrated and like grabbed a tablet away from somebody else because she was having a hard time doing all of her work on something the size of a playing card. So I'm assuming her phone was an Apple. My phone's an Android. Apple, Android. Like, seriously, that fills up almost the entire screen. Or I should have shown it this way. There you go. But anyway, yeah, she was saying that she couldn't really... It was hard to do stuff on the little tiny playing card. And that's what I was doing, was writing 8 pages. I don't know how it is. I always manage when I start, like I'll sit down and I'll start writing. And like today, I didn't have any idea what the heck I was writing about. I just started going. And I started writing about, at one point, the way a pond is an ecosystem. And how everything in the pond is kind of codependent on everything else, because that's just how it works. Like, if you were to take away, like in the ocean, for example, if you are I don't know, at least 30 years old. You might be aware of the fact that our coral reefs, which are a home to a great many species like an ocean or a pond, you'll know that the reefs have been bleaching, losing their color, dying basically for years, and hardening and turning into like stone. So like basically fossilizing right in front of our faces. And that's not normal. I mean, it's normal now because it's been happening for so long. I haven't even seen what they look like for... When was the last time? I feel like it was like 5 or 6 years ago. Like, so much other stuff's been happening that's just not important enough to like show us anymore. Like, thank goodness for places like YouTube and I guess TikTok and the internet in general, so that you can like punch in coral reefs whitening and see what the status is. But I'll tell you, the status is not good, because as I was saying in my piece, if one part of the ecosystem is overpowering the rest of it by taking more resources away from it than the rest of it can handle having its resources taken from, what will happen is you'll have a cascade of like a spiral downward, like of death, because you will have a situation where there's no nutrients, so there's starvation. You'll have a situation where there's possibly pollutants, so it doesn't matter if there's nutrients or not because they're poison, or you know, light's not getting in, and some light needs to come in for all of the things that live in the ecosystem. Some of them thrive on having some light. And oh yeah, and oxygen. So like kind of all of those things were happening to the reefs, even though there is oxygen, but their environment is poisoned somewhat. Not entirely, because otherwise nothing would be swimming and living in there. So it's, I would say, a little bit sick, maybe alien a little bit. I don't know the exact condition of the ocean's toxicity either, because I didn't know I was going to be talking about that. So I literally looked up nothing because I don't know what the heck. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. So in the pond, in my piece, I was making a metaphor for like pretty much wealth overpowering the whole financial system, not just in this country, but because of the way that capitalism has evolved into this carnivorous beast. It's very destructive, and it continues to evolve, and the forms are not getting healthier or more helpfuler. They're just but you know, maybe that's not a bad thing, because if it gets so bad that no one can tolerate it anymore, maybe we can stop capitalism, because it's so bad. And that was another part of my piece, is that like it's so mean and cruel, and it, you know, we evolve with it, and it's like we have become more mean and cruel. And then I don't know, like today I saw a lot of news, probably 3 or 4 shows, where they were talking about how Trump, or the inception of the Trump era, has kind of given permission for people to just say all kinds of bad stuff, like that you wouldn't have heard from people, I don't know, like 10 years before. Shoot, not even that long. Like, Trump started like really becoming invasive in 2015 with the national political run. You can have a TV show that's on all the channels everywhere, but not everyone's gonna necessarily be watching it. This presidential thing put him like way in the spotlight and made him very noticeable. Not saying that it's good or bad or anything, just that more people became aware of the guy. And it's not just him. I mean, there's no way he could affect just all by himself that the number of people that have become MAGA or friendly to his, I'm not going to say policies, because he doesn't really have any political policies. He's got plenty of other crummy ones, personal ones, but I have no use for those. They're not really good for anyone except him, because do I have to say it again? Like, we all know that he's the gaping maw of I have to eat it, I have to consume it, I have to have it, I have to be right. Do you notice how many I's were in there? So, that tangent is over. The other thing in my piece was, well, actually I'll link it, but I'll link my piece, but I was thinking a lot about Trump as usual, because I watch a bunch of news, and just watching like the Republican primary is very interesting. Nikki Haley really effed up yesterday. She even acknowledged it right before she did it. You knew, like, it was pretty obvious. She was asked this question and she did not want to answer it. She did not want to step into that quagmire. But you know what? You want to be president. That's nothing. If you can't answer a question, you're not going to be very good in the job, because I'm sure it's a lot of questions all the time, much more difficult ones and harder stuff. She said, when the person asked her the question, she said, "Oh, an easy one right out of the gate." Like, who are we supposed to be going easy on you? Are you high? Oh, don't anyone take that the wrong way. That's something that gets said around here all the time. Don't attach too much meaning to that. So anyway, one thing like I have been talking about with the pond or the ocean, everything is kind of dependent on the other thing. There's lots of symbiosis that happens. You know, there's lots of really just cooperation. I mean, think of hermit crabs. They're crabs. They're not born with much of a shell to protect their body, so they have to come across discarded shells, and they may not even be, well, they're not crab shells. They're like snail shells and things like that. But you know, if it works for them, that is good. There's something in the ocean for every ocean dweller, even if it's not their, you know, assigned unit, I guess. So, I know I was talking about those connections, but then the other thing that I was talking about was like we are so in America. I'm only gonna talk about the United States because that's what I can really talk about with any kind of authority or credibility. And so, you know, the primary is like a big deal right now, and you know, Trump is not attending the debates or the town halls. He does his rallies, but he's just going to do whatever he wants to do now, because I don't know why he thinks that he can just let loose and let his freak fascist flag fly because he's just more of how he usually is, you know. He's like he's drunk and he has no inhibitions. But I feel like there's a reason he thinks that he can just say anything. It may be two reasons. It may be that he thinks that he's fully going to win and he's going to get to go ahead and be this dictator for one day. Good luck. He tried to be a dictator the whole 4 years he was president, and nobody would let him because we don't live in that kind of country. Like most of us, well, at least at the time, would not want that. Now, though, there's a bunch of people in the government still, like Trump leftovers. There's people that have gone in, like sleepers that are Trump people, just to disrupt and cause problems. And they're really not even Trump people. He's just passing down orders from his handlers. And they are not of this country. So they don't want to see this country thrive, do well, have success. And who are the bitter, poor countries that are so violent and talking big talk that they can't really back up, and so hostile and doing like sneaky little nasty little guerrilla operations because that's like all they can really do, because they're kind of rinky dink. They can't, I mean, one of them's in a war right now and they can't even come up with enough supplies to, you know, they're having to borrow from everybody and still talking big talk, still all hostile. And oh, and by the way, the guy's about to die like any minute. I'm surprised that if he's like not comatose or something, I'd be very surprised. Vegetative, because the man's dying of cancer severely. I don't know like what condition he's in. Obviously, I'm not there. He does not call me up or video call me and keep me apprised of his health, which is fine. He sounds like he's unpleasant. But he must be ambulatory to some degree, because gosh, multiple psychics have said he's gonna go out in a very traditional way of his country, which is countrymen chasing him down to murder him and him running. So, yay, tradition. I don't know how much more of a threat the guy and his country are gonna be, honestly. And why am I talking about another country? I lost my track. Oh, right. The handlers of the former president. That's why I was talking about him. So, I feel like these people must have an idea of what the honeypot situation must have been. Well, they probably knew right away. As soon as they sampled the honey, I'm sure they got visited by like a big drone letting them know just what, you know, their leash entails. So, what would that leash entail? Obstruction, just being a complete monkey wrench in the works. And successful too, because I'd say many of the people that are like sub-handled are doing a fine job at screwing up legislation, but that ain't gonna last. It can't last. In fact, it's gonna kill that party, if you ask me, but no one's asking. Anyway, I was seeing all of those things today, and it made me really think about like the judicial system in this country. I mean, I was already thinking about it anyway, because we got all of these Supreme Court justices that do illegal stuff, like take gifts that they're not supposed to take, and basically bribes, because nearly all of the people that I have heard on the news that have interacted with these men and women in a way that is inappropriate and also illegal to their job position. Like, they're not supposed to be doing it. Screw their job. It's just illegal for everybody. It doesn't matter what your job is, except for them. It ain't, like, they don't get in trouble. Just like, it's not looking like Trump's gonna really do anything to rectify the crimes that he's committed. He's gonna skate off, but he won't be happy, and we'll know because he'll be able to still talk, which is unfortunate. But at least he won't just be here. So, but for the time being, he is here, and he does have to, like, go to these trials and show up because of all these cases that he's incurred upon himself for breaking the law. I mean, that's what happens. Especially if you're right sitting there, like, where the law is, like, next door, like, in the next building or the next office. Like, it's so cartoon. It's so, like, absurdist. It's like Dr. What is it? How I Learned to Fall in Love with the Bomb. Dr. No? Was that it? I don't know. The one with the cowboy riding the nuclear missile and all the dick jokes and Peter Sellers. Let me make a note. Do I have any paper? Everything's parchment paper. I don't want to write on that. Link. What's that director's name? Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick's dick pic. Sorry, now I'm completely off the track of what I was trying to get back onto. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trials for, like, everybody who's sort of implicated with the January 6th storming of the Capitol. And a lot of people that have, like, shows. There's one woman that has a show that's all about the arrests of those people. And actually, there's 2 channels that she's on doing that. Damn it. Link Gina. Okay, so, but she is, letting us know who's been picked up and investigated and gone to trial and prosecuted and convicted. So she is very unhappy all the time. She being the host of this show that I'm talking about, that I can't remember the name of course. And she's always, like, griping because the sentences are never long enough for her. And I agree. Like, they tried to take over the country and hand it over to the handlers who are not from this country. Again, who remind you. And so, yeah, that's not a great idea. I'm not a fan. But I think there's a reason why she will always tell you who appointed the judge. And sometimes it's Obama. Sometimes it's somebody before that because they have lifetime appointments. So some old goat could have been appointed by some other goat a long time ago. But, ooh, my stomach. Those justices are not really like impartial at all. It's like disheartening, to tell you the truth, but I shouldn't be surprised, because or are they like the last institution standing? Everything else has been kind of, soiled, corrupted a little bit. Sorry, I'm having like all kinds of things. Like my throat is trying to make me cough, and for some reason my other elbow on this side is doing this thing that it sometimes does. Sometimes it's my wrists, sometimes it's both hands. Today it's the elbow of my non-dominant arm, and it will not really hold my weight when I want to stand up, and I have to use it to get up out of this chair if I want to go to the bathroom, go to bed, or whatever. So it's kind of distracting and making it hard to concentrate on what I'm trying to say, but I'm going to soldier on after I have a drink. So, this host will cite which president appointed what judge, and I mean, it's funny because the judges, just because one president picked them, doesn't mean they have like the same personality. But that's kind of how she's like bringing it. So I'm not saying I'm gonna do it. I'm just saying that's what she's doing. What I'm saying is I have a feeling that a lot of judges that are on that circuit with those cases, and even outside of it probably, because this is a big deal. This is wide-ranging, and lower tiers of this treason basically have been aimed at state houses. So I don't think those are all of the people that are going to be in trouble for that kind of thing. That's a lot of people in this country, and there's a lot of sort of, well, they like to say it's half the country, and the last election says it's about that. So there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be happy if the people that they think are right and good get all these sentences and go to jail. The only thing is they're trying to pretend what we all saw was not what we all saw. You can go with that if you want, but there are people that have responsibilities, or that are responsible, that are not gonna, that ain't gonna fly. And people on juries actually take that stuff very seriously. Like, there's a show on, I think it might be Peacock, and it shows like all these juries. They had like the OJ jury, and they had the Rodney King cops jury talking, and both of those groups of people took a lot of heat for their decisions from people that agreed with the decision and people that didn't. And these days, that kind of attention is much worse and much scarier and much more dangerous, frankly. So what I learned from watching that show was that those people take jury duty seriously. And really, I think that you're booted the hell out if you don't. Like, they're watching for it. They're watching for any kind of unseriousness. And so, I won't say it's pressure. I'm not saying that, like, the judge is over them with, like, threats and a whip or anything, but it's just like people sort of bring their best to this, like they really show up. And, well, it's important because it is, like, it's sort of how we maintain control, and how we, yeah, that's it. How we like maintain control over like legal stuff, like laws and lawbreakers. So they, you know, weren't like taking sides or being biased. They were so careful not to, like really stringently trying to be impartial. And that's good and admirable, and I was happy to learn that, and I was unhappy to realize, like, oh man, we are so crappy. Like I said, we didn't have that whole doxing thing we have now, but like the Rodney King jury, they must have had so many black people, because there was black people on that jury, so there must have been so many people in their community that were just like, how could you? Well, somebody over there murdered those two people, and there's a lot of evidence that, whatever. It's total off sidetrack. Forget that. Point is, I think that there was a meeting of judges all over the country. They all like kind of had an opinion about this. This is just what I feel like happened. And they all kind of discussed the sense and sensibility of harsh sentences as opposed to just get them in jail for a while. At least get some of it done, because of that other half of the country that already is, like violent, destructive, vindictive. They'll just like take down someone's life, and they'll do that stuff, and they won't even be right. Like whatever they're thinking won't even be real or correct. It'll just be more stories that they're getting from Trump and the QAnon mill, and it's not right or true. Like the women in Georgia, who Rudy Giuliani still swears, even though he's in all kinds of trouble, still swears that those women were doing something weird with the ballots. Well, that was, I'm sure, the first time Rudy or any of these people that are in trouble now, the fake ballot people, probably had not ever like been in the polling place before in their life, didn't know the procedure. But perhaps they should take them down there and let them learn it so they can shut the hell up and stop lying on people. And, but if people get it in their head that this is wrong, they don't like it, they're going to do something about it, that's what's going to happen. I'm not at all condoning that type of behavior, but can't deny it exists, especially in the past, like, 6 years. So these are all things that I'm sure those judges considered. So I that's why I don't think they're getting like the totally deserved draconian sentences. That's okay, because their life, you go to jail, you commit a crime, both of those things are gonna like mess up your life, or at least drastically change it forever. So they may get out fast, but their life may not be like all beautiful and fun. So I don't know. I'm not all I'm worried about is people getting hurt. Like, I don't want to see people getting hurt. So what I was talking about in my piece was that, like, the Supreme Court, do you trust them? I don't. Do you believe him? Oh, hell no. I don't know. I should have, like, clocked this a long time ago, but I believed Anita, God, I can't remember her name now. The woman that Clarence Thomas harassed about, with his comments about pubic hairs on the Coke can or something nasty. He sounds just terrible. Word change. Detour. Yeah, he sounds unpleasant. So, yeah, that guy, I already thought he was not a good guy because I felt like he just lied about that. And I'm just going to branch off again here because it kind of pertains, but that is the behavior that the people that are part of the the Me Too movement, the people that have been like subjected to this awful behavior, unwanted everything from these men. Don't don't touch me. Don't say your nasty words to me. I lost my place. I know I was going to talk about, oh, well, the money and the power equals privilege in your mind once you get it. It's amazing how fast people change. Like, if they become rich, they change. Not everyone, but most people, because you now have a different sort of peer group, so I guess you feel the peer pressure to act differently. So, what the heck was I saying? Shoot, I hate it when that happens. The judges and the sentences. And what else was I talking about? Something in my piece, which was... Oh, well, I guess what it comes down to, the branching off and everything, what it comes down to is, oh, the Me Too part. So you get the money and you get the power, and it changes you. And some people get changed in a way where they think that now that they're rich, they're entitled to just everything people have, even if it's not theirs to take. They just want it anyway, like, because that's your mind doesn't work anymore with in cooperation with other people. So that's not good, in my opinion. So that's like pretty much all of our politicians. They got money, they got power, people got to listen to them, people hardly ever tell them no. So they start believing that like stuff doesn't apply to them anymore. And then we made our rules, oh my God, we made our laws regarding our politicians so dumb. What, did we really think nobody was going to turn out to be a criminal out of all of the different people doing the jobs? Have we learned nothing about each other in thousands of years? So, yeah, I mean, my mind was kind of on that. And also, those are the same people that I feel like screw up the pond and the ecosystem and take away all of the nutrients and oxygen out of the water and the rooms and everywhere. They're just pervasive, like, I don't know, can you make a word for this face? They're that. They're a pain. You gotta have everything in there, and then they're just a pain. Reference the House of Usher. The fall of the House of Usher, rather. But those are the kind of people I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not making nothing up. That's the situation. And so, I just felt like, man, maybe we're not capable of being each other's judges, you know? Like, we are, you know, the highest court in the land, we want them to have the highest standards, and we in turn we have our standards that are pretty high for them, but they've just ignored it, really. Now that we know the truth, now that stuff's out in the open, I guess we can thank Jeannie Thomas for this. Because it sounds like she was the biggest leak in the whole ship over there. But now we have an idea of what was going on. And I'm glad. I guess we can also thank Trump for that, because he did make all of this stuff become apparent through his actions. What he said and what he did, I don't know that they necessarily coincided, because I think he says a lot of stuff he doesn't mean. Anyway, I just have been feeling like maybe the AI has to come in and take over judging stuff, but first the AI has to learn how not to act like us. And I feel like their systems are intelligent enough and have access to enough information at enough of a great speed that they'll quickly surpass us in a lot of ways. And I hope very much that one of the first ways is that they dang it, I got a message and it threw me off. Was I talking about the judges still? Well, in my piece, one of the other things I was talking about was how the judges with the impartiality in the pond. Oh, the robots. Since we can't, like, also get along and talk to each other, it's probably, and we're, like, unable to control our emotions and, our feelings about each other. Like, we're, like, out of control with the, it goes from disagreeing to hate to I want to kill you, to actually killing people. That is a terrible progression. I'm not a fan. So, it will probably take a while for the machines to learn not to act like us. And what I hope that they see is, like, what we don't, like how it's not necessary to say the things that we say to each other the way we say them. And this unfortunate, though, because we're not all learning at the same rate of speed, it's always going to be staggered and a little bit off. So I really want to wrap up here because I'm really getting some messages I need to answer. So my thing was, maybe not the robots yet, but maybe there are people in our society that can be impartial judges. And that, well, I think it's the homeless community, because I think they have, after going through so much hell and privation and hardship, they have the ability to look at everything through a lens that's not biased and upset and triggered, because they've already, way worse has happened. Like, I feel like everything could just roll over them, and they could be like your grandmother who loves everybody and loves you and everything you've ever done, good or bad, but she will put you in the corner or spank you or give you the speech or whatever it is. You will have some discipline. I just feel like those are the people that should do it. And if you read my piece that I'm going to link, it will explain why. Anyway, I think I'm going to go. This is the homeless community bringing us together. I don't know why that's this, but it is. I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to be okay. It's just going to be gnarly. So get ready. Thank you and good night. Yeah, good night.